Hi, I'm Mark Kelly, and today I'd like to talk to you about Thurston County's controversial new jail called the ARC. ARC stands for Account Restitutional Center. It's just a fancy name for a jail. And the beginnings of this started around 1995 when the county commissioners asked the taxpayers, and they agreed, to raise the sales tax in the county just a little bit, set that money aside, and save up for capital improvements on our detention facilities. And at first it worked out really well. We set aside $17 million and paid for our juvenile detention facility, and it saved Thurston County taxpayers a lot of money, millions of dollars in tax payments, interest payments, if they'd had to issue a bond to pay for it instead. Then after the turn of the century, midway through, the county commissioners decided that it would be a better idea to take the money that the detention sales tax was bringing in and spend it on items, law enforcement items that were already being paid for out of the general fund. It wasn't illegal, but it wasn't what the tax fund was sold on to begin with. So lo and behold, comes time to replace or repair, depending on what your position is, our existing jail, and there's no money in the detention sales tax fund. So the commissioners came to the public and they said, hey, let's put this to a vote. Can we raise this sales tax a little bit higher? And the people said no. So the county commissioners asked a second time, and again, the voters said no. The third time, the commissioners didn't bother to ask the people. They just went ahead and issued a $45 million bond and went ahead and built the jail anyways. And when it's all said and done, the cost of that jail is probably going to be about $68 million when you throw the interest payments in on top of it. So some of you are probably wondering, is that what makes the ARC so controversial? And my answer would be no. Some of you are thinking perhaps the ARC is controversial because the cost is so expensive. And I would say no, even though the Nisqually tribe is building a 500-seat jail to the ARC's 341-seat jail, and they're doing it for about $22 million, almost half the cost that Thurston County spent on the ARC. But that's not what makes the ARC so controversial. Some of you might be wondering, is it because there was no money in the detention sales tax? And like I said earlier, no, what they did was not against the law. It was just not what the tax fund was sold on. And some of you might be wondering, is it controversial because when they built this jail, they didn't build it big enough and they've had to add beds onto it before it even started to get funded or before it started to become filled? And that's not what makes it controversial either. Some of you might be wondering, is it controversial because when they built it, they didn't take into account all the types of prisoners that were going to be there, meaning male and female, felons and misdemeanors? And I would say no, that's not the reason either. None of those reasons are. The reason why the ARC is so controversial is because the commissioners forgot to budget for the operating costs. So for the last 2 years, this $45 million state-of-the-art brand new jail has been sitting there completely empty with nobody in it. And the commissioners have no idea how they're going to open up this ARC. They've hired one consultant. This year they hired another consultant to give them ideas. And there's still no clear-cut answer. A $68 million mistake that we told them not to make. Now I have good news and I have bad news. The bad news is that the county commissioners don't want to tell you this, but most likely we're going to have to raise taxes in order to open up the Account Restitutional Center. The good news is you're not going to have to worry about that till after this year's elections. So I have 3 questions for you. The first one is, did the commissioners reflect your behavior, the type of things you would do when they built this jail? Did they reflect your values? The second question I have is, do you think that they showed good judgment, that they were fiscally responsible, they were prudent when they built this jail? And my third question to you is, do you think that these commissioners should be rewarded for this type of behavior and these types of prudence by reelecting them to office? For me, the answer to that is of course not, but you're going to have to answer that yourself. So that's my presentation on the jail. Please pass this link along to your friends so they can learn about the ARC as well. And I want to thank you for coming to my website and hope you come back and see another video real soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.